All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. I hope you're doing good wherever you are. Welcome for another live session. I'll be here for a minute. I don't know, not for a minute, but I mean like, I don't know, maybe 50, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 40 minutes. The link, let me post the link real quick before we get started. So if you want to join, debate me, agree with me, disagree with me, or just make your point known, whether you want to say something or not, or you just want to have your point that you want to get off your chest, feel free to join on the comment section, or you can join the live studio, join me here so we can talk and we see, compare notes. See, it's not a matter of who's right or who's wrong. We can just compare notes and see if you want to share your ideas or just rant if you need to rant, because some people need that. Ranting is not a bad thing. To be honest with you, ranting is not a bad thing at all. So feel free to join if you're on Twitter. I'm posting the link right there right now. It's posted on the first comment. So there's the link to get in the studio. Come in, get in, and let's hear your view. We do not discriminate. Whether you have a very different view from me, that's fine. We are not going to have a fight. We'll listen to you and respect your opinion as long as you keep it respectful. Hey, join the studio. Tell me what you think. As you see, the topic today is 5 reasons why Kenya will not. Well, I didn't finish the sentence, but 5 reasons why Kenya will not have a coup, or coup, not a coup, but a coup d'etat. The things that are happening in Gabon, the things that are happening in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. Well, the one that's happening in Gabon is actually the French people. The French, Macron is behind that, okay? Let's not be fooled by the coup d'etat that just happened in Gabon with Mr. Ali Bongo being removed. That's all French. Let's not be fooled, because the guy who just taken over the power is his first cousin. The former president's first cousin is the president of Gabon. So let's not be fooled here by that coup d'etat that's happening in Gabon. But let's get to Kenya. What are the 5 reasons why Ruto will not be taken out by the military? I'll tell you why it will never happen. And I'll make this short. I don't think I'll be here for long, but I'll make my point, okay? Again, before I get started, if you want to get to the studio, there's the link on the comment section. You can go to my YouTube. I'm live on YouTube too. Just go ahead and click the link, the StreamYard link, get in the discussion, and let's talk. Let's see what you have to say. 5 reasons. Let's get to the first one. The first reason why Kenya will never, or for the foreseeable future, we might not have a coup d'etat. Number one. The number one reason is because the ruling party and the opposition are in bed together. Okay? The ruling party and the opposition are in the same page. We don't have a real opposition. Both the ruling party and the opposition are one. Okay? This, I'm telling you, the Kenyan politics. Let me just explain this real quick for those people who do not get it. I know there are people who are fooled by the illusion that Kenya has the ruling party and the opposition. No, they don't. They do not. These guys are the same. The opposition and the ruling party are all in the same. These are the political elites. That's why you see a lot of politicians. They fight so hard to win their seats, the MP seats, the senatorial seats, the MCA seats, the gubernatorial seat. Okay, they want to win that so they can have an opportunity to make deals in order to become rich. Because part of the deal is when you become a governor, the ruling class, they approach you and tell you that, hey, listen, if you're a governor of Mombasa, for example, and one of the ruling class, a member of the ruling class, probably have business in maybe the shipment company or something like that. They'll approach you and tell you, hey, listen, Governor so-and-so, my company is this, and that. has a deal with the government, and we do not want to break that deal, that tender that we got from the previous regime. So we are willing to give you X, Y, and Z as long as you don't change anything. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this: for every person, because like I said, Kenyan politicians are one of the highest paid politicians in the world. One of the highest paid politicians in the world. Okay. And that's why you see people are willing to kill each other just to have a chance to become an MP, member of parliament, or a senator, or a member of the county assembly, or the governor. Okay? These guys fight tooth and nail to win these seats because it's the fastest way of becoming a millionaire. And I mean a dollar millionaire or even a dollar billionaire. People have made serious money just by having these political positions. So once they get this position, they strike a deal with the ruling class, who actually control the political ruling class. Okay, and this Kenyan ruling class actually answer to their colonial masters. Okay, the British and the Americans, not the government per se, but the corporations. Remember, the corporations are the ones who run the world. The big, it's called a corporatocracy. Corporatocracy, okay? Corporations have destroyed democracy across the world. Not only in the US, it's also in Africa. These are the people who actually have their own military mercenaries. Okay, they have their own defense groups like the Blackwater. Some even might use, like the Russians, they use the Wagner group, okay? These guys are ex-military special forces unit that are hired by big corporations to protect their interest, okay? And sometimes they even use the government to do their bidding. For example, Iraq war, the Halliburton and etc. etc. This big oil company, Chevron, BP, the British whatever petroleum company, these guys can influence the government to go have wars in order to protect their interest. Okay, so the first reason, before I get off the topic here, the reason why there will be no coup d'etat anytime soon in Kenya is because the ruling class, who control the ruling political parties, they have usurped power or co-opted the opposition, so we don't have a real opposition. Now, someone can ask me, who are these opposition? How come we have these people who, they call themselves opposition? Like right now we have the Azimio folks who they see themselves as opposition, while still claiming that they won the elections. But that's another case. The Azimio side, if you look at them, these are the same guys who are on the UDA side. That's why you see there's a lot of horse trading between these two. Okay, these guys, when they're given position, as you know, they're trying to change the constitution now to have the official office of the opposition and also the prime cabinet secretary position, to give it to the opposition. Okay, they agree. These two party coalitions, again, the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza, they always agree on something. They agree on salary increase on okay, that's number one. And number two, they always agree on changing the constitution to benefit themselves, okay? Because they're the very people who have been co-opted by the ruling class, okay? That's why I call it the ruling political class, because they are controlled by the ruling class, okay? And the ruling class in Kenya are being controlled by the colonial masters, the Western corporations, okay? The Shells, the BPs, the Chevrons, okay? The Monsantos, okay? Those guys really rule this Kenyan political class. So these shenanigans about opposition, when you see them going to Mandamano, these are just theatrics to convince you that there's actually a difference between the two. But when it comes down to it, in serious business, there's no difference. Ask yourself, you hear President Ruto rant and waffling about, talking about he wants to fight corruption, okay? We know the corrupt people from the ruling class, okay? the Kenyatta family, the Moi family, you name it. We know those guys. But you'll never hear any case of, the Kenyatta's been arrested or, there's nothing like that. He will never go after them because he is part of that group that the Kenyatta family are part of, which is part of the ruling political class. So he will never do that. He will never do that, okay? So that's the number one reason. So whenever we have anybody with fresh ideas, when they go to parliament, when they make it to become a parliamentarian or they become a senator, they get co-opted and they join the gang, okay? They only vote for things like, let's raise our salaries, and they raise that without any kind of opposition. So that's number one. There's no real opposition. The opposition we have are actually the same as the ruling class, and they just pretend. The theatrics, when you see all this mandamano and the nonsense, the constant bickering. I mean, just look at today when Raila Odinga, I don't really know why he went to that African summit in wherever in Nairobi, but he attended it. And guess who went to greet him? Gachagua. Okay, Gachagua, a man who Raila Odinga has been referring to as Gachiata. A really disrespectful term. The constant bickering between the two, the childish bickering between the two. You see that these guys bicker. They keep on quarrel for the people to talk about, for the news, for the gullible to think, oh, these guys are enemies. But you saw today they were cheesing it up, shaking hands. Gachagua actually received him and showed him, walked him up the stairs to join the summit. Okay, that's an example of what if these guys were actually beefing like we are meant to believe, Gachagua will not be greeting Raila there, and Ruto will have not let Raila go to that summit. Okay, so this is fake beef. They're all in the same. These guys are the same people. There's no real opposition in Kenya. That's reason number one. The ruling class is the same as the opposition. There's no real opposition. Reason number two, and I will keep it simple. Number two is lack of ideological clarity or principle. We are not ideologically principled as a country. These political parties, there's no ideology. You form your political party. There are, 200 and something political parties in Kenya. They just form it as a form of business, okay? You come in and you get a ticket and, pay 100,000 and you run for president or whatever, or you run for whatever, okay? They don't say, okay, we are social democrats. We believe in, a small government, okay? Or just big government, whatever the case is, have an ideology. They do not have that. They're not principles. It's just a business. So, if you don't have that, you will have no actual reason to be upset about your president. You just know, like right now, the Wananchi are complaining about the economy. They're complaining about the VATs on fuel, okay? And they're complaining about the prices of food. But who is really ready to go out there? Who is really principled and say, hey, how can we have policies, okay, based on our ideology? The policy is that no child, I don't like to use the no child left behind because it was a tragedy, but I'm saying is that the country we shall not let any child go hungry, not even for a day, because we believe in social responsibility. We are responsible for the society. The government should take care of its people, especially the people who cannot do things for themselves. The vulnerable, the old, the young, okay? The disabled, okay? That's where the government needs to stand up on, okay? So we are just mad at the government, or the economy is bad, and these politicians play games. They're like, oh, the previous government, they didn't do much to help the economy, or the previous government, and it's just a blame game, okay? And now we'll go through tribal lines and political alliances, and we just try to blame individuals, and we get caught up in nonsense while people die of hunger because we are not principled ideologically. We are just getting mad and we don't know who actually to be mad at. We are looking at the very people who should be doing something about the economy to tell us who's mad. Raila will get in there and have a rally, call it a consultative meeting, which is a rally, okay? And say, blame the president. He's been there for a year. He has done nothing. When I was there with Ruto, the price of gas was $2 or 2 shillings less. Now it's $2 shillings more. Blame the president. And the president gets there and say, oh, Raila was in the handshake. Oh, we should blame him and Uhuru Kenyatta. They were there in the handshake. Nothing. These guys are not principled. That's why they keep on, and we look at them as people who should be showing us the way forward, but they keep on blaming each other. Nobody takes responsibility and has policies in place that can be implemented to alleviate the situation when it comes to prices of commodities, food, and all that stuff, good stuff, okay? So lack of ideological clarity or principle. Nobody's principle. Whether it's Ruto, Uhuru, Raila, all these clowns that are in power, they're not principles. They're just a bunch of con men running around giving nice speeches and collecting checks here and there, okay? And doing 1, 2, 3 things just to impress the gullible. And within the time, they'll finish their 10 years and leave, laugh, go to their homes in their shambas with their billions of dollars that they have looted from the Wananchi and live happily ever after, while you grapple with the fact that the economy is still stuck, and in fact it's worse, and you'll find out that you're owned by a foreign entity that the taxes will keep on being raised, and you'll be told that they have to raise taxes and you have to pay these high taxes because you have to pay for this money that has been squandered by the previous individuals who are in power. Why? Because you're not principled. So reason number 2 is lack of ideological clarity or principle. 3, parochialism. This ties in with sectarianism and tribalism. Okay? Every time we have a crisis, instead of looking at how can we solve this crisis, what's the source of this problem, what do? Oh, no. If your member of your tribe was the former president, you will defend him to death. Oh, they're coming for my community. Just look at the people who are being arrested, who are suspected of stealing money or whatever the case is, misappropriating money. Once one person is arrested, I'll use the Matiangi example, or Oparanya. You'll see the people from this community, oh, this is political witch hunt. Oh, they're attacking our people. Oh, they're nonsense. How about look at the reasons why these guys are being prosecuted or are being charged? Okay? Parochialism, ukabila, tribalism, sectarianism. Oh, we people of Nyanza province. Oh, we people of Central province. Oh, we people of Rift Valley. Oh, we people of Nyanza. There's nothing wrong with being who you are, coming from Nyanza or Central or whatever. But if you're faced with a problem, we should look at it as if the person who is in power has dropped the ball, let him or her be held responsible, regardless of what tribal background, ethnicity, or etc. Okay? So the reason why we can't have a coup is because, first of all, the person in power will put his own people in, let's say, military or police forces, all those security positions, okay? Security apparatus will be filled by their own. The same thing Museveni is doing in Uganda. He puts all his relatives. It's funny that there was news that after all this coup d'etat that has been happening in West Africa, apparently Cameroon the president of Cameroon, and I'm digressing a little bit. The president of Cameroon, who apparently lives in Switzerland, only comes in during elections because he claims that the air in Cameroon is not fresh or pure enough. So he has to go to Switzerland because the air is fresh there. He's 90 years old, the president of Cameroon. What a disgrace, okay? But anyway, with the advent of the coup d'etat that has been going on in West Africa, the president of Cameroon has changed, has rearranged, reshuffled the security forces, the army officers, the generals, okay, and put his most trusted men in positions in order to avert a possible coup d'etat. Same thing with Rwanda. Kagame is said has fired more than 80 officers, army officers, okay, and put in his own folks in there just to make sure nothing crazy happens. Kaguta Museveni already has his relatives in power in the army. He has also done the same thing. So anyway, I'm just getting back to the third point, which is parochialism, which you know, that can be tribalism, sectarianism. The people in power, because remember in 1982, when there was a coup d'etat attempt, actually Moi was dethroned for a couple of hours before, you know, the thing was thwarted. Most of the guys who are responsible for that coup d'etat, the Air Force guys, were mostly Luos. It was not only Luos, but the majority of them, Ochuka, Raila Odinga, the suspects. Ochuka was killed, of course, among others. They were Luos, okay, who are in the Air Force, who are responsible for this coup d'etat. Okay, so Moi learned his lesson after he survived that coup d'etat. He came back and put all his people back. And Ruto has done the same thing. Uhuru Kenyatta actually did the same thing when he was there. He was very unpopular, so he had to do the same thing. Okay, so parochialism. Okay, people, you own care about your own people. That's number 3. Number 4. Let's go to number 4. We'll move a little quick. I'll try to keep this within 30 minutes. Okay, I'm only here. I've been here for 22 minutes. All right, number 4. Lack of patriotism, or a warped view of what it means to be patriotic. Most Kenyans have a warped view or idea of what it means to be patriotic. Okay? We are very patriotic when we are watching, what's his name, Omanyala, or that lady that just won that athletic whatever, or when Harambee Stars is playing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're supposed to support your own home team. Yes, we are very patriotic when that happens. Okay? But when it comes to politics, we are not patriotic. I'll give you an example. Okiya Mtata, who's doing a heck of a good job looking after the Wananchi, at least the interest of Wananchi, by bringing the case against the Finance Act, you know, proving, showing evidence that this thing was illegally passed. When he did this, most people are looking at Okiya Mtata and saying, this guy is a clown. Ooh, jamaa, you need him by na eh. While the guy is doing the most patriotic thing that anyone with any sense can do, while we laugh at Okiya Mtata. Okay? For example, another example, when Miguna was being forcefully exiled from the country of his birth, Jeff Koinange, among others, were busy laughing, giggling. You know, what was the phrase that they were using at that time? What was that phrase? I'm not boarding. Okay? People are laughing, making fun of him, mocking him. And the tragedy of it is that the guy was doing something that was the most patriotic thing that you can ever do as a Kenyan. Fight for your rights. And he said, don't laugh because you'll be next. And sure it is. Sure it happened. The Mike Sonkos were laughing, and all those people. Well, look what happened to them. You know? instead of mocking people who are actually agitating for change, for better living conditions, for justice, for equality, equity in law, in every other sector, better healthcare. These are the people who should hail as heroes. Not people like Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto. What are these guys doing? What have they done? What are they doing? We just hail them as tribal chiefs. Same people doing same things, and you expect different results. Okay? So let's really celebrate people who are fighting for the interest of the Wananchi. Truly fighting for the interest of the Wananchi. Not these clowns that are meeting at Bomas, Kenya, trying to form an office of opposition, official office of the opposition. What the heck is that? What's so patriotic about that? Those are the clowns at Bomas Center. Whether it's Chungwa Kimani and what's his name, Kalonzo Musyoka. We shouldn't be tolerating this. We should be rioting against these talks. How dare they? The audacity of two coalition parties meeting to make decisions for us, 50-something million Kenyans. Is that democracy? And you call those heroes, while the people who are fighting for a true electoral justice, the Okiom Tatas, the Miguna Migunas, we clown them instead of hailing them as true patriots who they are. We need to really rethink of what it means to be patriotic. Uhuru Kenyatta is not a patriot. Raila Odinga is not a patriot. He's not. He's a pretender. These are con men. Anyway, so we need to look at who are the real patriotic people, okay? Number 5, and that's the last one as I wrap up. Being overly reliant on the West. We rely too much on the West. So you might ask me, how is that happen? I mean, being overly reliant to the West, what has that have to do with, not being able to have a coup? It has everything to do with it. Because if you look at the West Africans, the Wagner group, the Russian mercenary group, helped them, with the exception of Gabon. Gabon is a French fake coup d'etat. But Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, okay, those guys were helped by the Wagner group, the Russians, okay? In the East, the East Africa, Kenya in particular, the British and American influence is so strong, and they've captured both the opposition and the ruling party, all the civil servants, civil organizations, including, all the groups, advocacy groups. That's what I mean. Okay, they're funded by the West, NGOs. Okay, and these NGOs get their money from the corporations. Okay, so the young folks that are coming up, they're being conditioned to accept the status quo. They're being conditioned and being told that the only way you can rise politically and have some kind of power is by doing what Uhuru Kenyatta did, which is stealing and having rigging elections. Okay, you can never win fair and square, and you have to have money to do this. That's what we are being taught by these Western organizations, NGOs that pretend that they're coming to empower women, empower the youth, empower the citizens. Okay, so we are overly reliant with them, and by doing that, we cannot think on our own to think that, hey, you know what? This should change. We should have our own ideas, ideology that fits our system, our situation, our circumstances. Okay? Democracy in America is not the same as democracy in China. Democracy in China is the same as democracy in South Africa. Okay? So we are being taught, conditioned to accept that the only way you can actually gather people and have some sort of status and have go up in life is through magendo, crime, and political mischief. Okay? And we need to move away from that. We need to cultivate a new culture. Okay? A grassroots culture that is society based, based on our own culture. Okay? Let's look for an alternative. All these corrupt people who are in power are never going to give up that power. They can talk about democracy all day. But until we raise ourselves, free our mind, and look at Africa through the African lens, not through the colonial lens. But anyway, I'll keep this video short. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go find me on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. My name is Kenny Revolutionary. I will keep it short. Share, like, comment, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. Bye.